Right, we're recording. Cool. So yeah, accessibility team agenda is going to be how do we use Trello efficiently, audit process overview, the ngAria implementation, highlight any current blockers, and then any other issues. We were just talking about the Trello issue, so continue.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant point. Is just to summarise what we're discussing there, is because there's so many similar issues in Trello that refer to basically the same issue but across different page types. The recommendation is probably to consolidate them into one card, link them together so that we've got traceability and we know where the individual issue happens across all page types.
Yeah.
But we only have one card to help process that along and clean up the board, I guess, is a big part of that as well. It can look quite daunting, I guess, with the amount of cards present, and I think there's definitely something we can do to condense that down a little bit further.
Yeah, and I don't know if perhaps some of the descriptions can be a bit more clear.
Yeah,
because sometimes it can be confusing to figure out where to find stuff. And also, if it's not too much work, if screen dumps could somehow be part of the audit process.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I mean, I've seen some comments that I definitely need to respond back to on them as well. So obviously, if I can add some clarity to it on that side, and also, like you said, we actually do something with a bit more detail and potential recommendations within the card itself, then we can obviously, just make that a bit more efficient in its use.
Yeah, because I think that apart from us working on improving the accessibility in the core, other people are constantly working on improving the UX and changing stuff. So sometimes things will also have changed from the state it was in when the audit was done, and then a new button or whatever is being used, which actually fixes the original issue. It appears to have happened a couple of times when people have been looking at a card and there's like, I can't recreate this, so let's just move it to done.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair as well. I mean, the thing is, obviously the audit itself was done quite a few months ago. As you said, Umbraco, especially the latest versions, a change is a real change. There's a lot of differences that completely changes the flow or even the class of, the feel of a button or anything like that. So I think what would be beneficial is on the next release is something me and Rachel were discussing, was to basically do a fresh audit, purely because there's so many issues that will either be resolved as something else or have been directly fixed by one of the many people who've been doing PRs for it. So I think that's a great shout, is that we just start fresh again, in the sense of when the audit comes round, we establish a whole new list, ignore the old one, so to speak. And then what we can do is create a new Trello board, and in there, as you mentioned before, consolidate those cards a bit down further if there is still cases of the same issue basically, but happening on multiple page types or something.
Yeah.
I think so. I think the other thing I found is, whilst I've been working through some of the tickets, there's been a couple of areas that you only find when you're looking at the code. So I think we forgot about translations, because we don't work with translations on a day-to-day basis.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And the upgrades, we didn't, hand on heart, we didn't test the upgrade and install process for version 8. And that was an oversight on our part. I think we were very focused on the Umbraco back office itself. Yeah. So, I mean, if there's any other areas you feel we missed to test, or just want to check that we've tested, I think that would be good to know. I'm excited that the new RTE is coming in the next release, and I think we need to play with that to see how we should audit that for accessibility, in terms of what it looks like. We can't really comment on the RTE until it's in place, really. And so what I tend to do is look at what's in the release notes, and give Danny a heads up on that. If there's anything that you feel we really should test as well, that you think was missed, just feel free to give us a shout. Yeah.
I'm just quickly putting together a just a document, scribbling down notes. So I'll chuck that into the chat as well in case anyone would like to add to it, or either now or later.
Sounds good. So overall then, in terms of moving forward, do yourself, Mike and Matt, do you both?
Yeah, I think we've learned a lot in the last since we started with everything about how it works best. And I think we've got it.
I knew nothing before doing any of this.
Especially in terms of how we work together. I mean, granted, recently I haven't been doing too much, but obviously a lot together. I've been noticing, like I said, duplicate issues can be quite tricky to track down certain things. Often you're fixing one issue that actually fixes the same 10 issues. So yeah, I think what we've learned from that, we can scrap it, or not scrap it, but move it to one side and start with a clean slate.
I think that's going to be the best way we start off the process again for it. So, I mean, I explained, I think, on the very first meetup we did, when I said that, you know, because the amount of issues that was across the site, it was difficult to sort of isolate them more. It was quite a general sort of the focus states, for instance, for an issue. You know what I mean? This sort of element. So now that there's been some serious work put into it and some serious fixes, we can definitely sort of harness those down. And we were talking, me and Rachel as well, about the better way to sort of hand over our findings. So obviously, putting it in a big Excel spreadsheet served its purpose to a point, but then obviously it evolved to go to the Trello board. And obviously, as part of that, there was a loss of, you know, clarity in exactly where that issue was. So finding a better way for us to highlight these issues, you know, however it may be, will definitely be looked at and move forward with it as well. So yeah, part of the next release then is we will do the audit again from scratch. We'll discuss. Hopefully, we can put together a meetup again, sort of near enough quite soon after, and that way we can decide the best way to actually hand over everything, get it all up online somewhere where it's shareable and viewable. And like I said, using the Trello seems like a good option.
Nice. In regards to Rachel notes on the sharing or having somewhere documented common components or functionality in the Umbraco back office, so things like localization. Where do you think will be a best place for us and for people who are coming to do some accessibility commit? So we have almost like a best practice approach or a standardized. I know there are many standardized approaches to do accessibility with Umbraco already, but I think they've all been found by each of us, and maybe they aren't in one place. Whether that's a document, whether that's just a GitHub ticket, somewhere on the Trello boards, maybe even on ours somewhere. I'm not really sure the best place for it.
Yeah, I think maybe we could have it on the Trello boards, like with Jan adding the visually hidden texts, locale stuff.
Yeah.
That could just be in a common practices like bit, you know, laying there. It's like, right, if you're doing translation, here's how to do like for this type of thing. Because it's all in one place. If we start spreading it around, it's just going to get lost.
Yeah. It's I suppose it's the visibility for it is ensuring that.
Yeah. We could always even have like a Trello board that then links to a Google Doc if it needs more explanation than a quick Trello board ticket.
Maybe it's just said another row that just has, you know, how-tos, localization. You click it, it has the information.
But maybe we should try to get in touch with the documentation team and see if we could get some documentation in our, or maybe it should be in the repository, on the headline, not in the repository, but in the README file for the project maybe.
Yeah.
And then either reference some documentation on our or somewhere else where it's most suitable. So people have a chance of becoming aware and then gathering it all in one place.
Yeah,
I like the idea of a README.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I suppose it also increases discoverability, not just someone, all right, I want to work on accessibility stuff, right, I need to go to Trello. It's, there's this whole thing about accessibility that's not a GitHub issue as well. So
put a little to do, as in speak with either, well, I suppose both documentation team and who do you reckon best in terms of readmes? Maybe Seb?
Yeah.
Cool. So I think we've got a plan for Trello. I mean, in terms of the general how we use it, I think still fine. It's fairly happy with the standard to do in progress ready for you. I think that's working.
Yeah, same.
I think it's something most people are familiar with as well.
Yeah.
Well, I've done when I found a bigger task is just put a checklist in at the minute as well. So in the one issue I've got in progress, I found like 5 or 6 related bits. I was all right, I'll just check box them, and
yeah,
I know they're all together, but I just need to go through them.
Yeah,
nice.
Cool. As well.
Have we got a limit on the number of tickets in Trello we're allowed to create?
It looks like it's 500 per row. Just
that
looking at
it's just the counter.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a counter. It's what is it called, a power up or something like that?
Yeah. I downloaded something.
It's I set it up, but I can't remember how it works. But it was just
it basically it counts tickets, and
Yeah.
you're only allowed 1 power up.
Yeah.
And I think you have to set a maximum per lane. So you can just set it all to 500.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got 2. I think I've downloaded a Chrome app as well, so I've got like 2 times of what it is. Okay. Cool. So is there anything else more for how we want to use Trello more efficiently?
No, I just remember seeing how they organized the Trello boards for Code Cabin last year, which I've been thinking that could perhaps also be useful in order to group cards like they did, but that's another power up, and then it's going to cost some money.
Or we all install the Chrome extension that Mike's got and get rid of the current power up we're using, and then we'll sort it.
Yeah, but then there's some onboarding issues, and people should know that they should, if they want to
download the app.
It's a bit silly, really.
Don't even know what the app is that I downloaded.
Well, yeah,
I suppose it's which one gives us the most benefit.
Yeah,
Just having a list of knowing how many's in a column versus the addition of what Butler gives you. I think it is they use. I don't know.
But people like numbers.
I was thinking that people like to know how many issues we've fixed. So if we create a new board, we need to make sure that we keep the totals of what's been fixed.
Yeah.
And that's I think people like to see that moving forward.
I think as an owner on Trello, you can just copy cards from board to board. So if that's the case, that should be relatively simple to do.
I mean, I'd almost suggest that we don't create a new board, but maybe we just go through the to-dos, and we can just remove stuff in to-do, maybe if needs be, remove stuff in progress, ready for review. We'll want to leave in there.
I mean, how many not active, how many members is on the current Trello board? Do you know? I probably could check that myself. Sorry.
I'm just having a look now. It's around 10.
10.
Yeah,
10, 11.
Because obviously that's the other side, isn't it? You make a new Trello board, you have to share the word again, don't you? But that might be the alternative then. We'll still do a fresh audit from that side, but then we just basically compare and remove and edit as seems fit.
Yeah, it'd probably be a little bit more work up front, I suppose. Although maybe not if we're going through and comparing the new audit results to what's in the to-do, and we're finding that things have been fixed, then we can remove them. Or if there's already one in there, but we have more information for it, we can update that ticket.
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? Just looking at the board now, there's 21 ready for review, 18 in progress. So again, you don't want to impact people currently in play of things, do you, as well? So
yeah.
If I start editing the cards and they go back after trying to do a merge, and then suddenly the card's not longer what they would have thought it was, then it could cause some problems. So it's a couple of things to consider it, but like I said, once we get an idea of how many issues we're looking at, then we can sort of decide the best way to move forward with it.
Yeah.
And see it. Amazing progress, everyone. 47 versions core, 20 already. Yeah, that's great. Pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, I think Rachel wrote about it in the blog post that she did after the release last time, and just seeing the login screen, for instance, something small as having focus states, it's
yeah,
makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's surprising how small something can make such a big difference. So already you can see straight away some good improvements made, so positive improvements.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Cool. So shall we go? So that's, I think, first part of the agenda done. Yeah. So audit process overview.
So this was a couple of questions on the Slack channel, and it's obviously just wanted to get an understanding of basically how we go about doing the audits. I think a big thing, a part of it is one, like I said, there were so many issues the first time round. It was quite hard to deliver something really tangible over, in an Excel spreadsheet, 150 issues on. That being said, obviously, the process itself, it combines different all sorts of user groups as part of that. So, we do use, screen readers, keyboard navigation, heading structures, all of these things is part of it. And then we sort of just find the best way to document it. Obviously, we do talks on this and we do training for other clients as well. So I could definitely give you, information by all means on the audit, but going from end to end in it probably isn't going to be, time-wise, probably the best way of doing it, purely because I could speak about this stuff for hours. So it's, so I guess if there's any general questions that you guys have about as part of the audit process, I've sort of given an overview on it, but Rachel's got a hand up. I don't think we need that.
Yeah, you weren't expecting that. Aren't you doing a talk on it in the UK festival?
Yes. So spoken to see Mike about the hackathon that's going on as well. So hopefully we can put something together for that as well, give a bit more of a demonstration of what we do. By all means, if you are at Umbraco Festival, then we'll be doing a bit more of an in-depth talk about sort of what a process would be involved for it, really.
We just give an update on that as well. I'm still waiting to hear back from Callum around how some of the hackathon stuff's going to go. I essentially need him to announce some stuff before I can start shouting about.
Of course.
Have an accessibility table.
I jumped the boat.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, we will. The plan is to have an accessibility table at the hackathon.
Great. Yeah.
Cool.
Great, we can put that together, definitely.
I think
I'm sure we can make an unofficial one if needs be.
I mean,
I think Florian had some stuff he wanted to ask about the audit process, but
I think it was obviously Florian had some questions about it, but I don't. Has anyone heard from him this evening?
No.
I'm just having a look through the chat, see if any questions.
I had a couple of questions, which was how the hell do I do it in some way? So I installed ngAria, which is quite a sweeping change, but it's almost impossible to test without knowing how to do some sort of auditing.
Right. Okay, that's fair. I mean, I guess is there a specific part of it, or is it quite?
It's quite a question, really. So, like, all I've done really so far is I fixed it on the login and used NVDA to kind of test that. And that's all I've done. But obviously, with ngAria, it could fix anything or nothing, or just make things easier.
It made things easier for me. Thank you. So I tested. I've been testing with the NVDA screen reader, and I'd find that when you tab into a box that's required, it used to say invalid, and then it's what the text box was. Now, on my test, I used it on the login screen with that on. I tabbed into the text box. It said password required, and it only said the text box was invalid after I did a submit form, which is a huge improvement for me. So just on that one test, it's got a massive, please put it in the into Umbraco, please accept the PR on that on that one test, because it just makes it so much more usable and so much, in my opinion, and more easy to understand what the user has to do. Just by getting rid of the invalid message when you tab in. But that's the only thing I've looked at and tested on it. I mean, I know, Jan, you had some thoughts on how it should work as well.
Yeah, it's I discovered it when I did the research for my article in Swift, and I think it was Macy Sutton who used to work as part of the core team or something for AngularJS. I saw her doing a demo of the ngAria module. And in the demo, she explains what heavy lifting this module does out of the box for you. So if we can find that talk, we will also figure out what it actually does behind the scenes. But I've also seen that my colleague Ken has been adding some some area attributes for some forms, which should now not be necessary because ngAria should handle that. So I think that in the ngAria, in my understanding, is kind of like plug and play, but it could perhaps conflict with some of the stuff that's already been done manually. Perhaps I'm a bit uncertain about that.
Yeah, I've heard similar things like that. It can be really great just to chuck it in, but also there's a risk that it could conflict and make things worse. But I suppose that's the same with any kind of
that's
ARIA-based stuff, isn't it? Sometimes it can be great, sometimes it can hinder the process. But I suppose it all comes down to the core underlying markup. I mean, if there are buttons that aren't using buttons, the ngAria stuff, I don't know how well that's going to. Yeah. So there still needs to be that. I don't think it's a case of you chuck an ngAria and all our problems are solved. It will be
no, it certainly won't. But it was So
it's cool,
I'll get it installed and then we can at least try it.
Yeah.
Whether it's worth me updating the branch to 8.2 when that gets released with ngAria in it and run the test side by side and see which is better when we audit. Maybe I don't know how much more work that is. I'll put this question for you, Dan.
Sorry.
So with the ngAria, so at the minute it's a pending PR. If we were to do the audit on like both at the same time to see what effect it has, does it improve things? Does it make it worse?
Try and do a comparison A/B almost.
See if it's something that we just need to clean up these little bits and it'll sort it and it'll improve. Generally, it's a positive, or actually there's so much ng stuff in there already. We're better off just not having it.
Yeah, it's certainly doable, and it's probably to test its functionality and how suitable it would be. Then yes, definitely that'd probably be the best way to do it.
Yeah,
would be to do separate audits. Obviously, it'd be something that I guess we would have to implement locally and then do it that way, and then report back onto it, sort of thing. But
yeah.
It's one of those things, isn't it? If it comes out and they're about the same or not much different in the size of issues, then obviously that'll probably influence the decision on it. But yeah, I think that'd be a good shout for it, Matt, definitely.
Cool.
It got my vote because required worked how it should. We didn't have any more attributes around it, so we didn't have to brief other developers on, if you're going to make this text box required, then you're going to have to put these extra fields around, which is how I was fixing it. It just literally, like Jan said, removed a lot of the heavy lifting. So it's the barrier to entry, fixing the accessibility issues is a lot lowered. And that's why it gets my vote, but absolutely understand why we need to do the side-by-side comparison if that's what we're...
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it should really just work out of the box, but if someone has been adding some of the attributes by hand, then that should probably be removed, so we don't clash with anything that exists already. But I just checked the page about the ngAria module, and if it is plug and play, and if something needs to work a bit differently, there should be a config option we could tweak if we need to do that. But I'll definitely say we should go for getting it into the core. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, the PR is there. We just need to get Seb to push it in. But I'm sure he's got many other things to review at the moment.
Yeah, especially with all the
I think they
things
have
going on at the moment.
7 PRs from Hacktober already. So
Yeah.
Jeez.
I think the thing with that ngAria thing as well, he will look at that and go, I have no idea.
yeah,
So it might be worth, well, I know Rachel's already commented on it, it might be worth just jumping on and saying, can we push this in like as a group to give him some clarity on why, I suppose.
Do we maybe want to set up a call with him?
I suppose it's up to him. If he wants to go through in that much detail on why, then potentially.
Because it is quite a big. I think does
Yeah.
it seem big enough to require some actual face-to-face communication to go through everything?
I think if we're
Move
going,
things
if we're
along.
going to regardless go to him, then we should at least have something to say, not just sort of like small sample cases of it, or general. I've used this before. I think it's going to work, sort of thing. We need to go in there with, look, we've already tested these, and this is the if it is that way for it. But I think we'll definitely be in a better standing if we've got something actually tangible, facts to go backwards.
Yeah. So plan of action, I suppose, will be potentially do the audits for both. And
So what would be the plan then? So as you said, in case some of the manual interventions could impact it, are we trying to go for a rolled back version where the the accessibility fixes?
No, so I suppose it would be more of a, so with 8.2, maybe doing
installing on top.
Yeah, so an 8.2 without ngAria, unless it gets added in before that.
Yeah.
And a version without. I don't want to obviously make a horrendous amount of work for yourself as well. But obviously, if you want to see a comparison and give tangible, if you include this PR, it's going to fix,
well,
the issues or whatever.
It seems like the extra work justifies in a lot of ways doing it. You know what I mean? Even if it is doubling up the efforts in a lot of ways. Hopefully, it comes to it and I fly through the second audit and
yeah,
I mean that's the hope, isn't it? And that way my effort isn't that high.
So in terms of the accessibility testing, how I've been configuring the sites for Danny has been, it's been based on the NuGet package. So it'd be the 8.1, the 8.2, the 8.0. What we're saying now is really, it's kind of 3 tests, unless I'm misunderstanding it. Because the comparison is to pull the branch down now and set that up on the site for Danny to test against, then and Matt to merge that into his PR as well, then run that against that PR, and then when 8.2 is released, actually do the test on 8.2.
No.
So we'd wait for 8.2, we'd do the standard audit that we were going to, but except for this time start again from fresh anyway, from the original conversation we had, and then do a second audit once it had been implemented locally in Sense, so that we could test it through there and do the same process again, basically.
So as long as ngAria doesn't make it into 8.2.
That's the big thing. As long as it doesn't make it into the 8.2, we can do it that way, yeah.
The way you can do that, and then...
And if it does, we'll find out how well it went.
It might be too late then.
I don't think it will make it into 8.2 because I saw Sebastian merge some of my PRs today and it was labeled with 8.3.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that it will be 8.3 at latest. As soon
So I can always take the release and I'll create a branch, like another one that's not the PR, unless I need to update the PR anyway, and do it that way so that then you guys can just run off a branch. And if it's easy for you guys, I'll set up my Getty feed as well, so you can just install it where NuGet as well. Cool.
Right. Add that to notes. Okay, so is there anything else around ngAria?
Don't think so.
Or the audit, like I said, if people are going to Umbraco Fest, then definitely we can sit down and I can go through things a bit more detail. But yeah, if there's nothing, blockers for you while you're trying to do your own testing, then we'll...
Maybe we should, I think all of us in this meeting are attending the UK Fest, right?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, maybe we should just gather up and then invite Sebastian to our table and then go through some.
That's a good shout. Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the way to have it accepted into core.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
In terms of, whilst talking UK first slightly, have we got a rough, like, these are PRs that would be good for people who haven't done much accessibility to kind of, for us to support them with? Could we maybe get a list like that? Like a hackathon list?
When is 8.2 scheduled for release?
No idea. Let's have a look.
Because obviously if between now and then 8.2 comes out and we can get that second audit done, then
that'd be nice. Yeah.
Real ideal.
15th of October. Tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay, so it should be able to be, there's no reason why then that can't be done before then.
Yeah, perfect. So then that should be able to help highlight. Obviously, it's like everything with Umbraco, the more things that get fixed, the harder the low-hanging fruit disappears quite quickly.
There's already 7 issues in 2.1.
There is easy, I don't like that word, accessibility related stuff that doesn't actually need coding, which is the translations for the stuff that we've been putting in, the visually hidden stuff. So that would be a nice PR to do that would have a big impact that doesn't actually mean anyone has to have a big learning process.
Yeah, great.
Great job.
With that, those sort of tickets is, again, I suppose it comes down to that how-to information is in that localization. If there's information, as long as it's clear, goes to this file, that these are where the localization stuff do, just find translation, add it in here, then there's no reason to get loads of people doing that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, make it great across the community, across the world.
Yeah.
That was beautiful, Rachel.
Cool. So are there any other current blockers that we've got?
I don't know if I would classify them as blockers, but in the on hold swim lane, I've been digging a bit around for some of this stuff, but most of this is due to the content of the dashboards in the content section. And it appears that the content is coming from another instance of Umbraco that HQ uses to update the dashboard. And it comes, the arrow thingies that are not really arrows is content coming from the grid. So it's not something that we can fix, so we need to get in touch with the HQ and ask if they could stop using it in content and make a profit. I think that it's either Vera or Morten Hartvig we should talk to. At least that's what Rasmus told me, because he helped me figuring out where the content came from. It would just be nice to have it fixed, even though it's not the most important of all the issues. But
it might lead to more conversions for them.
I mean, that's a great chat. I mean, in a similar vein, we've got the forms stuff that's in Trello as well, that isn't part of Umbraco, but we've audited it because it comes free with Umbraco, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's whether that should really be in Trello in the first place, or whether we should be dropping Umbraco a line and just saying this should be fixed, but we can't.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what the plans for forms is, but I think something is going to be announced. I've heard some rumors, but
I've seen the Twitter rumors as well.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of people asking for things on Twitter.
Yeah, maybe that's like I said, get in contact with HQ and see what they think. If it's no.
I suppose we could always just put it. There is a GitHub, so we could just put an issue on there and go, we've put you a swim lane on this accessibility Trello.
Good idea.
If you want to come look at it, it's there.
That's a good shout.
If you don't, why not fix it now?
Yeah, I like the idea of actually creating an issue on there.
Yeah.
And write this down. Talk amongst yourself. I think other than that, was there any other issues?
Don't think so.
I mean, I think at the moment, isn't it? It's the whole thing is a bit of a blocker in the sense that there's a lot of issues happening from what we've discussed already. So hopefully moving forwards on the next one, and we can get a bit more clarity and should stop a lot of those. But yeah, I think we've had a very productive chat this evening.
Yeah.
Did. And I made it just.
And I've taken notes, a whole page of notes.
It's like we've been organised and someone thought of the agenda and things like that.
Yeah.
Verified, but-
It's almost like a proper team.
So, plan for moving forwards. I know we don't typically have one so soon after the next one, but I think with Umbraco Fest happening and also the report back from everything, it might be a good idea to get another one slotted in, arranged soon before them, because it's it's coming up soon, isn't it? Past the approach.
Yeah. The question is, when?
I suppose one question is, what would the rough turnaround be on a, let's say it's released tomorrow? When would you like to have it expected done?
Yeah, if it manages to drop tomorrow, then potentially we could go as early as 2 weeks today. So that'd be the 28th.
Week before. Okay.
Don't know how that would work for people, but that's probably because I part of this is is with doing both audits. It's going to obviously ramp up the time for it as well. So I could definitely sort of feed stuff back on Slack and definitely the works. Just keep you guys updated on where I'm up to with it all. But I think to have something tangible that I can show off a little bit, on the next call would probably be the 28th.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Okay. I was about to say we don't necessarily have to wait for both audits to be completed if we wanted to, but obviously if it makes sense to wait, then we might as well.
I mean, if it's going to drop tomorrow, if it does drop tomorrow, then I guess we could definitely, if not both of them, then we could definitely have something to discuss next week or something like that. If people like to get it done a bit earlier. I
mean, I'm happy either. I mean, in terms of availability, I don't know when people are available. If we want to do a call on the 28th, I'm off on the 28th, but I'm also busy in the evening. So I wouldn't be able to do that. I don't know if there are any other.
I mean, not necessarily the 28th.
Not
but
have to be there
that week. Yeah, I mean, I've got a relatively boring lifestyle.
Well, shall we leave it open for that week for the time being, and then go from there? And then as you go through it and you get a better idea of when you might have something, then we can.
Because, like I said, it may be that I do the first audit this week, and then the other audit flies straight through, and I can say to you next Monday, like let's jump on, go through this, and then go through that way. So yeah, let's keep that week open, but we don't necessarily need to lock down a day or a time just yet.
Yeah,
cool.
If it does drop tomorrow, I should be all right to get that branch set up as well.
Oh, imagine
from that release one, so it'll be there.
Sweet,
perfect,
ready as well.
Cool.
Okay, well, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, as always.
As always.
Cool. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone, and thanks for coming along.
I'll
wait for this to finish processing. I'll try and upload it at some point this week.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Cool. And if I haven't, just please poke me and nag me to do it.
Cool. Magic.
Right.
You take care, everyone.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye.